What we're doing is the final preparations for a burn, which will involve 105 tons of ivory and 1.35 tons of rhino horn. The reason for this is just to reinforce Kenya's view that there is no intrinsic value in ivory. Ivory is only valuable on the elephant, and the same with the rhino horn and the rhino.
我们看到的是肯尼亚在很多年以来收缴的一些象牙，包括一些成品的象牙，也包括一些就是象牙原牙，这些象牙都要在明天会被销毁。从上面的中国文字来看，我相信这些象牙的市场应该是去往中国。从这个雕刻工艺来说，你可以看到这应该是在非洲的中国人制作的，因为根据我的一个调查经验来看，这不是非洲当地的那些卖家能自己做出来的一个工艺。当我看到这些这么大量的象牙的时候，我其实真的是觉得非常的悲伤。当我们在新闻报道里面看到象牙问题，看到盗猎，我们可能真的没有影响，没有一个概念，就我们在讲的到底是多少的大象。当我在中国的时候，我几乎不知道有大象盗猎和象牙贸易的这个问题，因为我从小到大在中国也没有见过任何的象牙的店，也没有看到过任何人去购买象牙。但是当我来到非洲之后，我意识到这在这里是一个非常大的问题。其实有很多中国人他不知道象牙是怎么获得，这个过程有多残酷，或者是说这个影响有多糟糕。所以中南屋我们做的工作其实更多是针对在非洲的中国人，我们会通过一些野保志愿者活动，我们会通过一些培训，我们会通过一些线上和线下的宣传，去影响在非洲的华人社区，让他们更多的了解这方面的知识。不止如此，我们会通过一些具体的活动，将他们带到像这样的活动的现场，让他们能够用心去感知这个问题的严重性，让他们去行动。When I think about it, like how long it's going to take, I was also thinking about like how long it took for the elephants to go so big and have such huge tasks, and also how long was the value chain from this ivory product to come from Africa all the way to Asian market. After hearing the speech from the Kenya president and so on, and seeing all these conservation people here and seeing this ivory burning, I do see the hope in the fire over there that this is a war that we can win.
A lot of people are criticizing Kenya for burning all this ivory and saying that we could have used all the money from it to conserve our elephants better. But what they don't realize is even if we trade this legally, we're giving in to those kingpins. We're giving them exactly what they want. What they want is ivory, more and more ivory. It's insatiable, the demand for ivory. And there was one tusk that I actually knew. I saw that elephant when he was poached. That is what's left of my boy. I think for me the most difficult thing was just seeing him there, lying in the bush under a tree, and he'd been hit by a poison arrow. And having to have the rangers take his tusks out, that's always the most difficult part, when you have to be the one to cut that animal's face and just pull his tusks out because you don't want the poachers to get it, and you really feel a very great sense of failure, really. It's him. It's like all that's left of such a majestic elephant that just never did anyone any harm. He never bothered anyone. He never raided anyone's crops. I mean, he was killed just for this thing, to carve weird things out of it. And the least we could do is just give them a dignified send-off and put them together and say goodbye, and that's what we've done. And you know, their body parts are not ours to hold. And I could easily say, I want just a tiny piece to remind me of him, like, you know, like I just want to have that and make a pendant out of it because I want to remember him forever. And that would actually mean something. But his body parts are not mine to own, they're not mine to hold. And it would just be disrespectful to do that to him. And so I take comfort in knowing that he hasn't gone alone. But at the same time, it rips me apart to know that so many of them have had to go this way. babies, from babies to big tuskers, and it's just unnecessary. And I will miss them dearly. I really will. I think all of us will just remember them for these amazing, just amazing, gentle giants that once walked on our earth, never harming anyone and just making us so happy. That's how I will remember them.